How did an army of tens of thousands of men survive in hostile lands, far from home, without modern infrastructure? The answer lies in the logistical genius of Roman forts, a system that defined the success of the legions. When we think of the Roman legions, we picture discipline on the battlefield, impenetrable formations, and epic victories. But the true power of Rome went beyond swords and shields. Without the efficient logistics that supported the armies in enemy territories, their conquest would have been impossible. While other armies crumbled from hunger and lack of supplies, the Roman forts ensured that their soldiers were always ready to fight and win. Now, imagine being a legionary marching for months in unfamiliar lands, with no guarantee of local supplies. Every meal, every weapon, and even the clothes on your back depended on a system that could not fail. Roman forts weren't just refuges. They were proof of Rome's ingenuity and commitment to its soldiers. But how were these forts organized to sustain thousands of men for months? What strategies ensured that food, water, weapons, and ammunition arrived on time, even under enemy attack? And what happened when the system failed? Get ready to uncover the secrets behind the logistical success of the Roman legions and how they influenced armies for centuries. Today's video dives into the details of how Roman forts were designed to store and distribute vital supplies, how logistics worked on long campaigns, and the challenges faced in hostile lands. Discover what made the Roman army an unstoppable machine, far beyond the battlefield. If you're interested in military strategies and the behind-the-scenes of Rome's greatest achievements, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more fascinating stories about how the greatest empire in history was built and sustained. When we think of the Roman legions, images of disciplined soldiers, flawless formations, and legendary victories come to mind. But beneath this iconic martial prowess lay a system just as vital, though far less visible: logistics. Behind every march, every battle, and every triumph was a meticulous web of planning and supply, ensuring that tens of thousands of soldiers remained fed, armed, and ready. Without it, Rome's conquest would have crumbled into chaos. Central to this logistical marvel were the Horia, Rome's fortified granaries. These were not simple storage buildings, but carefully constructed fortresses of supply, designed to protect grains, oils, and other essentials from the elements and potential enemies. Horia were the lifeline of any Roman military campaign. They kept soldiers fed during long winters and ensured supplies during drawn-out sieges. Their success was no accident. Every placement, design, and operation of these granaries was calculated to maximize efficiency. Yet, the brilliance of Roman logistics extended far beyond food. Armories housed weapons in quantities unimaginable to their enemies, while storage for clothing, tools, and even medical supplies showcased an attention to detail that was centuries ahead of its time. This preparation allowed legions to operate autonomously for months, even in hostile territories. But how could they sustain such precise operations under unpredictable circumstances? How did they maintain order amidst chaos? The answer lies in a fine balance between structure and adaptability, a balance so critical that even small disruptions could spell disaster. As we delve deeper, a question emerges. What happens when this perfect system is tested by forces beyond its control? While Roman logistics stood as a pillar of their military might, it was not without its vulnerabilities. The same intricate systems that kept the legions supplied could become dangerously fragile when disrupted. Supply caravans, laden with food and weapons, were prime targets for enemy ambushes. Harsh weather could delay shipments, while unexpected terrain challenges could isolate entire forts from their supply chains. Even the best-laid plans were not immune to failure. This uncertainty often fell hardest on the soldiers themselves. Imagine marching for days, only to find your next resupply delayed. Hunger, exhaustion, and dwindling morale could unravel even the most disciplined legion. And yet, the Romans adapted. Engineers built temporary forts and supplied depots along critical routes, while commanders devised contingency plans for every conceivable scenario. These innovations helped mitigate risks but they could never fully eliminate them. The psychological toll was another overlooked aspect of logistical failures. Soldiers depended not just on food and weapons, but also on the assurance that their needs would be met. When supply lines faltered, doubt crept in, eroding confidence in their commanders and their mission. Yet, the resilience of Roman soldiers was legendary, and their ability to endure such hardships often turned the tide of a campaign. But these challenges reveal a paradox. How could a system so advanced also be so vulnerable? The answer lies not just in the system itself, but in the environments it was forced to navigate. How did the Romans design their forts to withstand the chaos of war and ensure the survival of their legions, even under siege? The architecture of these strongholds holds the key. Roman forts were far more than just places to rest between battles. They were meticulously designed hubs of survival and organization. Every element within their walls served a purpose, ensuring that the legionaries had everything they needed, even in the most hostile territories. These fortresses weren't merely defensive structures. They were logistical masterpieces engineered to withstand not only enemy attacks, but also the test of time and adversity. At the heart of each fort was its layout, a grid-like design that optimized space and efficiency. Food storage facilities, such as granaries and cisterns, were placed in secure, central locations to protect them from external threats and weather damage. Workshops for repairing weapons and armor ensured that soldiers were always battle-ready. Water was another critical resource, with wells or aqueducts often integrated directly into the fort's design to guarantee a steady supply. These elements weren't just practical, they were essential for maintaining morale and readiness during long campaigns. What made these forts even more remarkable was their adaptability. Commanders adjusted their designs based on the environment and threats they faced. For instance, forts in desert regions had larger water reserves, while those near forests often featured enhanced storage for wood and tools. This strategic foresight allowed Rome to sustain its forces across a vast and varied empire. But the design alone wasn't enough. Discipline played a crucial role. Every soldier had duties within the fort, from managing supplies to guarding critical assets. This division of labor created a self-sustaining ecosystem, where every individual contributed to the fort's efficiency. Yet, the brilliance of these fortresses prompts a question. How did this logistical prowess shape the broader course of history? If the fort's design and operation were so effective, could they have influenced the military strategies of other civilizations? Or was their impact even greater, leaving a legacy that stretched far beyond the battlefield? The influence of Roman logistics didn't end with the empire. Long after the legions laid down their shields, their methods continued to inspire military strategy and infrastructure development worldwide. The grid-like layout of Roman forts became a template for medieval castles, colonial settlements, and even modern military bases. The emphasis on preparedness, resource management, and adaptability left an indelible mark on the art of warfare. Beyond the military, Rome's logistics taught a broader lesson, that order and foresight could conquer chaos. Their systems demonstrated that victory was not just about strength, but about sustaining that strength over time. This philosophy resonated far beyond the battlefield, shaping trade routes, urban planning, and even political administration. The Roman emphasis on infrastructure, roads, aqueducts, and fortified outposts helped solidify their control over conquered lands, turning them into a cohesive empire rather than a collection of disconnected territories. But the system wasn't flawless, and its weaknesses offered lessons just as profound as its strengths. When Rome's logistical networks stretched too thin, when resources couldn't keep up with ambition, the cracks began to show. The reliance on such a centralized system meant that any significant disruption, whether from internal strife or external attack, could have catastrophic consequences. This delicate balance between power and vulnerability is a theme that resonates even today. So, as we reflect on the logistical genius of the Roman Empire, one question lingers. Have modern systems truly surpassed their level of foresight and organization? Or are we still drawing from the same principles that once powered the greatest empire in history? If you're fascinated by how Rome's logistical genius helped sustain its legions in enemy territory, you'll want to dive into the story of Spurius Ligustinus, the soldier who defied fate and conquered glory. Just as the Roman Empire thrived through strategic foresight, Spurius turned every challenge into a victory, becoming one of Rome's most legendary military leaders. Click now to learn how this humble soldier rose to prominence through courage, tactical brilliance, and an unwavering spirit that reshaped the empire's military history.